Hello and welcome to this longer video. I've compiled all of my videos about this video capture card into one big video. I've put chapters in it to help you get to the point you want, and I talk about this one in specifically. It's a cheap eBay one I bought. It's also available on Amazon. It's called I'm holding it the wrong way around. HDMI Video Capture Card, and it's via USB and HDMI. So the series of videos you're going to see now is going to be how to set it up, how to put it, how to connect it, wire it to your camera, the different types of cameras that you can use it with, how you set it up on the PC with OBS, for example, and the challenges I faced with it, how to get a clean HDMI output from your camera, the different settings you need to change it on camera. So keep an eye on this video and it'll help you kind of set it up, as it were, if you're new to it. Should you buy a cheap capture card? So capture cards come in varying different costs and sizes. There's loads on eBay which are cheap type, which you might be able to see here. I have got. The main thing you want to think about is cheap live streaming video capture cards or video HDMI capture cards. There's loads of names they're known by. All it's basically going to do is, if your camera has a HDMI out cable, you can plug it in to your computer via USB and use that camera feed as a webcam or as a streaming camera, so you can actually stream what it's seeing, or have a PlayStation or another computer that has HDMI and feed that into your computer so you can record gameplay, for example. So is it worth buying a cheap one? Let's have a quick look. So here on eBay, I can see, well, you can see, this is the one I bought, £10.65 in the UK. It's max 4K input. So remember that word input is important, because you could put 4K into it. That doesn't mean 4K is going to come out of it when you're recording it in terms of the quality. So the questions you want to ask yourself is it enough to have 1080p, which is what this one offers, which is a cheap one. Let me quickly show you. So you'll see it supports maximum output resolution of 1080p, and it supports 10, 10, 8, 10, and 12-bit color depth. So it will be better than the standard webcams you get, or will be very close. Even the Logitechs aren't that good. If you've got a DSLR camera, you can actually use the HDMI out, but there's loads of things to think about while using this. There are some challenges. I made a separate video of why I don't use a capture card. It might not apply for you because the types of videos I make are not gaming related. However, if you're doing gaming videos, it might be a good option because you want the higher frame rate when you're recording your screen. This one is a good one. The reason I say that is when I got it, let me give you a view of the setup I use. So you can't see it there, but if I show you how I set it up, so you can see when I got it, it came through and it's actually a metal construction. So it's quite a nice aluminium type construction and it's self-contained. There wasn't any drivers needed to be installed or anything like that. I plugged it in my HDMI, and the only thing you will need is this bit here, which is like the converter. That's the most important bit, because if you've got a HDMI cable, you want it to be mini HDMI to go into your camera. So overall, this is a quick video just to give you something to think about. This is a cheap one I bought off eBay. I can quickly show you the one I brought so you can see the exact one. This is the one I bought. I paid £10.65 for it. It was from the seller. Only the name, yeah, Other Hand, and is a fairly new seller. He's only got 144 items sold. He's got 100% positive feedback, but it arrived very quickly. I got it in 4 days and it came well packaged. The item itself was in like a little box. I don't really show unboxings. It's like, that's what watch me unbox it for. But it was a good quality one because it's metal construction or aluminium. The good thing about it was I plugged it in. If you got OBS installed, it recognized it straight away. So there wasn't any faffing around with it. So I plugged it in. The only issue I did have is make sure you get the right cable. Let me go back to full screen. So make sure you've got a right cable for it that you want. So I had a HDMI cable at home and it works okay, but you need to get one of these adapters which makes a normal HDMI into a mini HDMI, which goes into your DSLR camera but if you're using a video link like a PlayStation or something else, HDMI might be fine. So it depends what you're using it for. So overall, this is a good one. It's cheap, but remember, this is labeled as a 4K input, so you can put 4K into it, video footage, but what comes out of it to be used is actually 1080p. You'll get 60 frames a second, which is respectively really well. I do mostly talking shots, so I don't need to use 60 frames a second, which is why I don't use a capture card. However, I've thought about it. I might put a secondary angle in and use the capture card just to give you like a table shot, which I do with these kind of shots. Let me show you when I'm setting it up. So that kind of shot there, that one was done with my webcam. So you'll see the quality there was fine, to be honest. Unless you tell me in the comments it's not fine. But I do recommend it. It's a cheap one. For £10, you'll get a good return. You can use it. It's better than buying a webcam. Think about buying a webcam. You'll spend £20 on a budget one. I've done loads of reviews on those. But yes, I would recommend it. Try it out. And it won't let you down, providing your camera gives you a clean HDMI. Because right now what you're saying is clean HDMI, because I'm using the Canon EOS Webcam Tool. Separate video playlist about that. You can check that out in the cards. But I'll link you to this video review and how to set it up now. So how to set up a HDMI capture card with a camera. My plan is I'm going to link you in the description to a full chapter breakdown of this video. It might be quite a long video, about 15 minutes or so, but if you have any problems, I'll link you to this video in future so you can find the answer and what the best way of doing things is. But if I start by giving you the challenges that you'll face. So cameras, DSLRs, if you're using them for the purpose I'm using it for here, where I'm making a video and the camera is about 6 feet away, auto shut off mode. So some cameras warm up and shut off automatically. That's a challenge. When you're streaming with the camera, you don't want the menus of the camera showing via your HDMI. So a clean HDMI is important. That's a challenge. Well, depending on the camera you've got. Black bars showing on the side of the camera footage. Some cameras have a different aspect ratio. So coming in a bit hot there. So the camera aspect ratio will be needed adjusting. I'll show you how I did that. The focus, so if your camera is 6 feet away from you like it is now, you don't want to continuously have to go over there and focus it manually, and if something moves it's a bit long. Turning on or off the camera, so I have it on a button where I turn my camera on. What default menu does it go to in camera? I don't want to have to go around and turn it off to a different mode. Time limits, how long can you film for without the camera turning off? That's some challenges that I'm going to cover in this video. But if we go straight into it, into the section of how to set up a HDMI capture card with camera, any camera. So I'll show you my setup here. These are the cables you'll need for setting up your camera. I have a capture card, which is a cheap capture card from eBay, which was Epox Waxy, I think, our channel did a review on it. I'll link you to that video. He did quite a good breakdown and explained the full down details of it. But you want a USB cable where you plug this into. But here what I'm doing is plugging in a HDMI cable into the capture card, and then you need this important cable, which is what I'm plugging into the camera. The camera there is a 5D Mark II. So this is your setup for the wiring, and that's how it will be ready. The longer the HDMI cable, the further away you can sit, and that's your overview there. But if I give you a bit more detail about those, what you want is this cable. This cable is a female HDMI to a mini HDMI. And the reason you want that is a normal HDMI is a normal HDMI size, which fits in monitors, computers, TVs. You know what I mean. But that is a normal HDMI. The phone, the camera even, the cameras have different HDMI sizes. It's a mini HDMI size. When I ordered my capture card, I did not know that, and I had a HDMI cable already at home. I thought I'll just plug it in and it'll work. But because I've never really used the cameras with HDMI, I realized, wait a minute, that is a mini HDMI size. So then I had to go online and order the converter from HDMI mini to HDMI full. And I even ordered the wrong angle. That's a left pointing when you want a right pointing, so it points down. So really would have been better that way, but you can learn from my mistake. Okay, so that's the cables. Then the HDMI, like I showed you, plugs in. That plugs into the capture card. You've already seen this on the top down view. And then that goes into USB, that goes to the camera. So that's setting up your camera, the wiring elements of it. I'm going to be testing 3 cameras. I have a Canon HDC camcorder, which has a HDMI out. I have a 5D Mark II. I'll show you sample footage of all of these, linked in the chapters. This has a HDMI out. The camera I'm using at the moment to film this is a 550D T2i in America. I'm using that already with the Canon EOS utility tool, webcam utility tool. That's what you're seeing right now. So, do you really change? I'll give you a section in this to say why I didn't change and why I'm not using the capture card, because it's more work than it needs to be, even though it's set up. I'll explain that. Okay, so that's that bit. Camera settings. So you've got all your wiring set up ready. You've plugged that into the USB. You plug that into your camera. Your camera is powered on. The battery's turned. The camera's turned on. It's on your tripod. What next? You need to see it on your computer. I'm using OBS. So on OBS, the settings are different. To add a camera, you add it by clicking the plus icon on the OBS, Streamlabs OBS. You go to video capture device, you add source. It brings up a screen here, which I'll show you. I already have the utility webcam, but I'll do add a new source, call it new cap for the new capture device. Add source. And let me just get this because it's too hot on there. Okay, that went straight to the default screen view. But here I'll show you a quick look at the settings that you need on your camera. I did custom. I did 1080, 1920 by 1080. I made sure FPS, frames per second, highest, and the few little settings there that I recommend, but you can see those on screen. And partial no, I'll do full color range, done. And then it'll show you the camera, which I can show you here. That's a view of the camera. That's my 5D Mark II. You can see there's 2 black bars on the side, but that's like a feed directly from the HDMI of the computer. That's how it looks. I've not focused it yet, but you can see that focus bar in the middle of the screen. That's the challenge I was talking about. So I couldn't find a fix to get rid of that on the camera. You have to install Magic Lantern to fix that, which basically lets you take it off, but I haven't done that. So okay, here, that's nice angle there. You can see it at. And that's just the setup I did earlier with the 5D Mark II, and that's how it looks. And you can get rid of the black bars in OBS by clicking Alt click and just shrinking down the screen. So that's what I'm doing right there. So you can shrink the bars from the side, getting rid of the black bars and readjusting the screen so it fills a 1080p 16:9 ratio. But that's how you do that. So that was a pre-recorded session. Menu settings. So in the camera, that was a 5D Mark II I showed you. Now I'm going to flip to my 550D, which is recording my 5D on the desk. You can see on this camera I have a grid view, which I don't want to show. Again, it has the black bars on the side. We don't want the black bars. When you flip on the menu from the back of the camera, I went to menu, and then I went to the display settings, even live view settings. And those are available in different menus that come under different things, but live view function settings. Here I went to grid display, and I could turn the grid display off on the back of the camera because I want it to be a clean HDMI, well, as clean as I can get it. And you can see there the autofocus is set to live mode, and you can save these settings, because what will happen is each time you turn the camera off, it defaults back to a set setting. If you go into the Canon camera settings, you can actually reset it and save a new standard if that works. So register to my menu, which means you're saving the current settings to the menu. When it starts up again, it'll save and kick off with that standard default setting. You find live view there, click OK, it saves it. I tested it on the Panasonic HDC. So this segment is to show you how it looks. Panasonic HDC. This is a quick test of a Panasonic HDC TM700 via the HDMI cable. And capture card being used. Let's see how it performs. Okay, this is a good look at the HD. Ooh, face autofocus doesn't need to be on. Can we turn the autofocus off? Manual. I did put it on manual. Quick menu. Exit. I think it only shows it around that way. So that was this camera here. I did that little test earlier. So that was a normal camcorder. The feed out of that was actually better, if that makes sense. I didn't get the background blur that I wanted from a DSLR, but it was easier to set up that camera than it was my DSLR. But then I did the 550 test. Okay, quick test of the Canon T2i, and it's going via HDMI. Can't get rid of this box here. I might have to install Magic Lantern, but this is the quality. That's the quality at the moment. I'll compare this to the old video capture method to see if it was any better. But yep, 60 frames a second. Let me just make sure it's max. Okay, so that was a look at the HDMI view. What you're seeing right now is actually the Canon EOS utility tool. I've had people ask me, how am I getting rid of the black bars? This is OBS. If I show you quickly, the black bars are still actually here. There's one and there's two. In OBS, you can alt click and get rid of the bars. Well, not get rid of them, but crop them out. So this is how you get rid of them in OBS. If you're doing a Skype call or something, they will show. But I thought I'd make this like a big video where you can see everything basically. So that's my light that normally points down on my desk shots. But that's how it looks with the black bars. And this records at 1280 by 720. It's a default view via USB of the camera display. I'll be showing you how I use my old Canon EOS utility tool to make my workflow a lot easier. So right now I have my utility tool here, the old one. Camera settings, remote shooting. It brings up this menu, live view shoot, and here you'll see a pop-up of my camera feed, just like that. So what I like to do is I kick this off before anything else. There's an option here for face detection live mode. You click on and you see there it auto focuses. My camera does not have live view video focusing capabilities, but you can see here I was able to do that. It has a little box around it. I can turn the box off by selecting this button here. So now that has become a feed of my camera via USB. That's how I did it before the Canon EOS utility tool was a thing, the webcam utility tool. So now if I close here, that becomes a bigger feed. And in this camera OBS screen that you're seeing, can I show you it? Possibly not, or possibly if I do that. No, okay. So what I do is I have that tool on a different screen. I get rid of all the rest of it, like by doing this. Let me show you. There, I get rid of that. I get rid of that. I get rid of that. I'm doing this by alt clicking on the OBS screen, and I bring that up a bit. So now this is becoming my camera feed auto focused. So if I do that and do autofocus, if I move here, that might be out of focus. So if I do, it's focused again. So I didn't have to physically get up to the camera and do that. So now that that's done, there's two options you've got. You can either, oh, it's not fully focused. I've moved back. So let me focus that again. There you go. There you go, mates. Okay, so that is focused. So you could either close down the tool. If I make the tool, like as in close down the tool here, and then close down the tool there, and then if I bring you desktop display capture. Because I made the screen smaller, you probably can't see what I'm doing now. Let me make this bigger again so you can see it. Okay, there. Oh, the wrong one. Desktop. Okay, there. So right now, that is a view of my desktop. When you close the tool, you want to come here, go onto the EOS utility, right click, quit. That way it's fully closed, and then you can bring that webcam utility feed back in by here. I have a utility webcam, which is a video capture in OBS. If I double click that, bring that down here. From here, if I select EOS utility beta, it will do a little thing and you'll see my feed. There you go, mate. So if you click done, you can see, wow, that is a feed via the webcam tool. It's been pre-focused. That all takes literally 30 seconds. I just showed you it the long way because I was jigging it and stuff, but it's all set up to a pre-designated screen scene in OBS, so it's all ready. So I basically come in, push my button to switch on my lights, my camera, because it's on an adapter, and my mixer board audio. I come on, open up EOS utility, quick autofocus, close, exit, open up OBS, display capture, video capture even, and that's my screen there. So I can start speaking, making videos, record on OBS by pressing the record button, finish, close, and that video is ready to be uploaded. And then the best bit about it is that you can use it for photos as well. So the photo element is actually better. So if I do, let me see if I can go backwards now. So if I've not normally done this because I'm trying to record the screen at the same time. Deactivate, done. Let me try and kick up. Let me try and bring up the EOS tool again. Okay, beautiful. So now if I go to desktop mode and show you this, the second bit of this would be, okay, so I've made my video, now I need a thumbnail. So the best thing about this beautiful thing, camera settings, remote shooting, that pops up, live view shoot, the camera's set up, I can see the screen on my display here. Bring that little menu out. Let me make sure you can see all of this. Okay, the live view, and that, make it a bit smaller so you can see it all. Okay, there. So now I need to make a thumbnail for my last video, which was about this capture card. Watch this. Now it's thumbnail time, so let me get rid of that. Normally I like to make my thumbnails along the lines of doing something like that, and then you can use these here to focus. Oh, focus on what we're taking a picture of. That would be probably close like that. Make sure it's in focus, and then there's a test shooting button here. So let's get rid of my mic, move over a bit, make sure that is definitely in focus, which it is there, and then do, and now that has literally just taken a photo for me. So all I do is I save this photo, and that's my thumbnail. So I've basically taken a picture. Let's put it in another location, save. I've made the video, I've made a thumbnail. Normally I do the thumbnail before I've done the film because I know what I'm filming. So when I'm opening and focusing, I take thumbnail then, but I just did it backwards there. But that's basically why I use still the old remote tool for webcam Canons. Bring my screen, and now there, see it's out of focus. If I do autofocus on, there it's focused still again for me. So now that focus stays on the camera, and when I go to the webcam utility tool, it's pre-focused. So those little things are trickier to do if you're using a capture card. I've made another video about how to set up a capture card, so make sure to check that out. It's all relating to making content and talking about my photography on my channel. So this is all like the workflow element of that. So I'm hoping you find it helpful. See you on the next video.